Legislators have to stop protecting the predators.
This is a world issue, and I'm thrilled to be standing right next to the Capitol and watching the Empire State lead the way.
Apply. The flesh moves heals on the outside, and for a while looks bad. But underneath the skin,
everyone has listened to everyone's story. And thank you. Thank you, senators, for finally. Just thank you. Thanks.
The Albany City Police Department officer, Edward Markham, chose to not believe me. Falsely, again, for the first time in my adult life, placed me under mental health arrest again. Lied to cover himself because he just couldn't believe that law enforcement screwed up that much. And it's a really hard story to tell because, again, once you're labeled, people don't listen, but my doctors are on my side. They've cleared me, and Officer Markham is a liar. I was volunteering with them for a little over a year before that as a self-defense instructor, as well as on the Community Accountability Board of the District Attorney's Office, and solely due to this disclosure, they kicked me off of all of my volunteer work, the Sheriff's Department, the District Attorney, and the City Police Department in Albany. So I saw the last time Gary had an event for the Child Victims Act, Sheriff Craig Apple of Albany County was interviewed on the media, claiming to be in support of this bill, but I can tell you from personal experience, obviously he is not, and he is not open to law enforcement changing their ways to provide a better response to youth as well.
There's provisions in the bill that the chief administrator of the courts will set the procedures, and it's just like any civil court. Any case you bring to civil court, you have to have the evidence, and you have a judge and a jury, and so if the evidence isn't there, the case will either be thrown out or won't be allowed into court. So
you have
you can't just make stories up. I mean, you have to have proof. And
the good of Israel of America, they say it's going to bankrupt institutions. What's your response to that?
No, I don't think it. The only reason they go bankrupt is to try to delay the, push the date that they have to pay, that they don't have any money, or try to force the victims that sue them into settlement. So I know of no organization that has actually gone bankrupt. They have filed for bankruptcy, but they reorganized after the bankruptcy. So if a teacher abused, at their house and they didn't know, had nothing to do with the institution, no. But if a teacher abused or a priest in the church or school, and the administrators were told about it and they did nothing, then they could be held liable.
This is Mark, my rappel. It's an exciting day in Albany. I'm standing with Professor Marci Hamilton, who's an attorney, who's well known in the world of law involving religious institutions. She's been an expert. She's been fighting for the Child Victims Act for way over probably 15 years. And she's one of the most distinguished attorneys in this country with the expertise on this fact. And what a day it's in Albany to get this thing passed. It's unbelievable.
Well, I think after 15 years, we wore them down. It was all the arguments in favor of the children and the victims won out, and it became impossible to back covering up the sex abuse. And so, in the end, I think it's just about the truth.
But this is a great day. And
it is a great day.
So how much, for instance, the Catholic institutions, are they going to suffer huge losses for this? Or?
Well, the Catholic institutions are insured. And they own a lot of property that's not even used for religious purposes. And so, based on what happened in the other states, no, they're not going to feel it.
Right. I mean,
you think this news from the institutions are going to be bankrupt is just a scare tactic?
Right.
Like only 5% of sex abuse actually isn't in a church institution. Most of them is
tiny.
Right. It's a small percentage. So basically, institutions, unless they really covered up crimes, have something to worry about, but most institutions have insurance and will be...
Right. Well, and the bankruptcies that we know about are bankruptcies that are Chapter 11. They're voluntary. They're for the purpose of protecting their assets because they have so many assets. It's not because they don't have the funds to pay the victims for what they did to them.
Are you shocked that, 2019 people are still focusing on money instead of children? How much of a life to work?
Well, I think it's taking a while to get the culture to start thinking in terms of children and not adults, but we're there. And finally, New York is going to do something to protect its children. It's not the most progressive bill in the country. It's actually quite modest. but it's worth it. And so 15 years later, it's good to see that the opposition has given up. Well, we had a meeting with Governor Cuomo 2.5 years ago, and he spent over 2 hours with us talking about this. And when I realized that I was going to believe what he had to say was when he said, look, you know, the Catholic Church is already unhappy with me about same-sex marriage. I'm already going to hell. And this morning he said, it's the third time he's been told he's going to hell. And so you can only go once. So, you know, I have to give him credit. He's got a good attitude, and his own church is going to condemn him, but he knows what's right.
See the light at the end of the tunnel.
He did all the videos where you were on and the press conferences. Albany never put it up, so he put it up. All the videos of all the CBA things, he did. Yeah. Go look at it.
Okay. How surprised are you that it was 63-0?
You know, knowing how this place works a little bit, I come from the Assembly in the past 6 years, I'm not terribly surprised. A lot of these bills that, to the average person, any objective person, seems non-controversial, like this one ought to be, is often blocked by a very few number of people, whether it's the Assembly or the State Senate. And I suspect there are some comments made on the floor today that don't reflect the comments made by those same individuals in private, in caucus meetings and conference meetings that led to this bill being blocked for so many years. So, look, you know, I'm glad it's unanimous. It should be unanimous. It should be unanimous.
Right. So you think some people are holding their breath, though? They just did it because they didn't want to be that one. You know, but who's going to protect the molester or a rapist?
At least in public, who's going to do that, right?
Yeah.
The reason why it took so long is there was a very low statute of limitation. 23 years, we know through the research, until the age of 40 or 45, people don't have the emotional or psychological strength to come forward. So now that's been changed in this bill, but really we could have made it a lot better bills, and that is to eliminate the total statute of limitation. For a crime like murder, there is no statute of limitation. For heinous crimes like sexual assault of children, there should be no time period where the victim can't come forth with a legal counsel and go before a court. And let's let the evidence and let's let the facts speak for themselves. 100% of the victims of sexual abuse are children. Anyone else should have any time, anywhere in their life, be able to go to court and get justice for themselves and get perpetrators off the streets. We put that amendment forth today to eliminate the statute of limitations. And they voted against eliminating the statute of limitations. It's a better bill. It's a bill that we had to pass. We should have passed it a long time ago. But we can do better now. We can encompass 100% of the people and give them the opportunity to have justice and give them the opportunity to get perpetrators off the street. But I'm proud of the fact that I was one of the first in my conference last year to support this concept in this bill. It's the only bill that was brought before us. It's an improvement. But again, we should eliminate the statute of limitations so we can protect all our children, religious organizations, because 90% of the abuse takes place in homes, takes place in parks, takes place in sports camps, and we want to make sure that 100% of the children are protected.
They need to be protected, and they need to feel that finally there's a path, the protection that they need.
30 noes, 3.
The bill is passed.
That is a singular good thing you did, and you're very lucky. Yeah.
How excited are you to see this happen?
Thank you. And Assembly number 2852, rules 28, Mr. Smith. And I come in the property tax. You are good.